the art of being myself with skill, the art of showing up as my best self in line with the company culture and the job description, okay? Code switching as a form of protection. Racial code switching is one impression management strategy where Black people adjust their self-presentation to receive desirable outcomes. Hello, my name is Layefa. Welcome to La La Land. I recently transitioned into a new career, and this is just a video series where I document my thoughts, my feelings, the process. How is it going? Today, I want to discuss code switching. Yes, I haven't had to do that in a long time up until. So should we kind of discuss what is code switching? Because it is, according to Google, so I just typed in what is code switching in the Black community, because I think in different spaces it's different, and it could be like an altering of your language or how you speak naturally or speak in a different. Anyway, according to Google, racial code switching is one impression management strategy where Black people adjust their self-presentation to receive desirable outcomes, e.g. perceived professionalism, through mirroring norm behaviors. And we need to discuss what is normal behaviors, right? But what I guess society or the Western world, let's be specific, the Western world perceives as norm behaviors and attributes of the dominant group type. For me, I think it's definitely toned down, right? So it's not complete code switching, but code switching as a form of protection. So not being overly open with the full person that I am, because it wouldn't be appropriate for that space, okay? I'm still myself, but I guess it's like the art of being myself with skill, the art of showing up as my best self in line with the company culture and the job description, okay? So I wouldn't be in the workspace busting out my Nigerian accent or even saying busting out, do you get it? Like I wouldn't, because it's just not suited. However, if I am in a workspace where 2 or 3 are gathered that look like me, I do like an inside joke, because it's a form of like, we see each other. I work in the city, so sometimes you might go to these little market stalls and there's like different foods of different ethnicities, and sometimes I'd like to go to the jollof rice spot, and I remember standing next to one lady who was another Black lady but from a different company entirely, didn't know her from Adam, but we're in this very corporate space, so you know how it looks, right? And we're both kind of standing at the stall looking at the jollof rice spot and thinking, should we go for it? And I'm like, I know there's rice at home, right? And if you're part of the culture, you understand what I'm saying. But also genuinely, I was saying that in the literal context, as in how the term was initially used. There is rice at home. You might go outside and your mum is telling you, you're saying to your mum, Mummy, can I have McDonald's? And your mum will now look at you and say, I beg, there's rice at home. So anyway, I talk about coming into environment as my best self, fitting for the culture and the job description. So I wouldn't necessarily show my full self, because, and it's not that it's not my full self, but it's just another part of self, because it's not in line with the culture, and also it's a form of protection. In honesty, it is a form of protection. When you walk around the world in spaces where many people do not look like you, there is always a perceived notion of who you are. There's always a perceived notion as to who you are. So as loud as I am, as extroverted as I am, I tone it down, because I am not a personality hire, okay? They hired me for my skill set, okay? So we're going to abide by that, okay? Maybe we might come back to this topic in future and see if I still navigate spaces in this way. But mostly for me, it's a form of protection, because I do know that people already do have a perceived idea of me, whether they're negative or positive. On the most hand, they're typically negative, and for the most part, I care less to correct them. which is another topic, because sometimes when you're in these spaces, I think it's important not to overshare. I know I overshare on the internet, but in real life, it's so weird because I do overshare on the internet. However, face to face, I'm quite protective and people think that's where they're like, but you talk to the world online. And I'm like, yeah, but it's, in my mind, it's not the same. In my mind, it's just me and you, girl. In my head, it's just you and I, even though I know it's not just you and I. Where was I going with this? I think when I was younger, I used to overshare as a form of explaining without knowing it, but I was like explaining my humanity. You find that you're oversharing, saying, oh, I do this and I live in a house like this and I didn't. And I'm at a point where I'm too grown. I do not care. I do not care what you think of me. I don't care if you think if I live in a rundown council estate, even whether that's true or not, that's neither here nor there. I came to do a job. I don't care if you think I don't care what your thoughts of me are, because when it comes down to the role or the job, or when things need doing, because of these perceived ideas, and sometimes these perceived ideas are not even personal. It's literally, they might just think that you're less intelligent. Keep in mind that many years ago, which probably not that long ago, people thought that Black people were not human. So imagine now being in a space and people think that you're not intelligent. I'm sure, I don't know if you've ever been in a space where somebody compliments you on how well you speak. Somebody has said to me, you speak so well. And I'm like, I speak well, I sound exactly like you. And they're like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, oh, you think that I can't articulate myself because of this? And I'm not, that hasn't happened in I'm saying in previous spaces. I've been in spaces where people have, they think that they're complimenting me by telling me how well I speak. Meanwhile, you have no idea that you're showing your ass by saying that because I sound exactly like you. Anyway, that's all to say that yes, there is this perceived notion that you are less intelligent. I care less that you think I'm less intelligent. In fact, that works in my favor because it makes me to be an underdog, right? And that becomes my superpower, because you have this perceived idea of who I am, and maybe you think I'm less intelligent when in actual fact I'm excellent, right? Now, I say all of that. Please be excellent. Don't be doing, oh, I'm underdog, or this is my superpower, and you're actually not excellent. And code switching is a form of protecting yourself, and that's fine. Sometimes if it means being silent, be silent. And I think how I've tried to intentionally balance that is maybe outside of certain spaces, I'm living my best life, so that, because you do need to expel. You do, is the word I want, expel? You do need to release, right? Like, especially if you are not that way in nature. I think in the current spaces that I find myself now, it's not that I'm code switching. It's just definitely me, but it's me based on the culture and the job description, right? So yeah, I'd be interested to know how you navigate these spaces whereby, you know, you might be othered or you might be different. I think one of the things that I've done working in a corporate space is being very expressive with my hair. Somebody described me as more personable, so I'm better on a 1-to-1 basis or a 2-to-1 basis, but where the crowds get bigger, I can kind of disappear into the crowd. And not that I'm intentionally trying to disappear into the crowd, but because I try to be intentional about listening to others speak, and it's not necessarily always about me. That's why I feel that it's great to have this outlet for myself to just say all the say that I want to say. Nobody's going to interrupt me. Nobody's going to stop me. Anyway, talking of hair, my daughter has told me to take... These children will read you. You know what we also need to discuss at some point? Working full time and being a mother, because I think being a parent, like being a father, and it's different. I need to lock down time so that we can discuss that properly. Please comment if you would like us to have a real chat about that. And yeah, give me your thoughts and feedback as to how you would, obviously on this topic that we've just spoken about, but that topic I'd really like to go in depth. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Look how I'm showing up nowadays. Back in the day, look, when hey, this corporate life will have you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Comment, like, subscribe, do all the things. Until the next one. You know, it helps me out, right? If you don't know, it helps me out. Anyway, until the next one,